distinguishing your inner voice from external forces. Now, the other day I had made some tweets regarding this topic where I was pretty much talking about how you can have a habit or an addiction or whatever behavior that you engage in impulsively or habitually without your conscious intent to do so, or even with your conscious intent to do so, is basically, external forces and entities masquerading as your inner voice, persuading you, directing you to engage in certain behaviors or activities in order for them to be fed by you. And the average person, of course, is gonna hit us and go, "Oh, Rakim, you don't know what you're fucking wacko, man. You're bunkers. You don't know what the fuck you're. There isn't no external entities. But you gotta think about it like this. We have microorganisms, right? And microorganisms exist in various forms, such as bacterium and, you know, the gut flora in our intestines. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of different bacterium, right? And they all, do have different functions. So the gut flora are essentially, bacterium that are in our gut to help, process digestion and other things to keep a balance within the homeostasis state of the body, which is, just overall balance and health, as well as temperature, body temperature, right? These are entities, these are conscious intelligences, you know what I'm saying? Like these microorganisms, just like these insects, the plant life, they're all intelligences. They're not some animated, mindless, just beings. They are sentient, just like us. So if this is true for the physical, from the macroorganisms such as us humans and various other larger animals and mammals, to the microcosm that exists in this physical universe, right? This physical world, such as the insects and the fungal organisms and bacterial organisms, various microbes, right? What makes you think that this shit isn't true for the same shit isn't true for the immaterial entities and level of existence, right? Because this world, just like any other world, is processed by way of consciousness, which is through the matrix that we call mind. Through the mind, data is processed, existential reality is processed on any level of consciousness, regardless of how dense the matter is, and no matter how sparse the matter is, it's all processed the same way, but different via the body that it is projected through. So here in physical reality, it's projected a certain way, so we have certain laws or whatever that the physicality must follow. But when it comes to the mental plane, which is access to the spiritual plane, which essentially is the spiritual plane, but when you take it spiritual, it's a lot more further than what we can fathom. So we just refer to the mental plane for the sake of our understanding and perceptual understanding, right? You have the mental plane where there is the astral, which is connected to the subconscious, the imagination. And there are all sorts of beings that exist, just like there are all sorts of beings that exist here in this world. When you lift up a rock in the forest, you're going to see all sorts of little bugs and worms squirming around, just like the same way when you channel your consciousness to another state or another station on the frequency of, spectrum, right? You're going to see and, be able to perceive different life forms in various forms, disembodied forms, right? Because in the immaterial plane, which is the mental plane, the astral plane, like there's light, but the light isn't as dense as it is here. It's sparse, meaning it's that the particles aren't as tightly interwoven together. Therefore, they the forms and the formations can vary and change haphazardly. So when I'm speaking about the mind and the inner voice, I'm totally talking from a metaphysical point of understanding, because the mind essentially is a metaphysical factor of our existential reality. So when you overstand and understand that, you will be a lot more aware of the fact that there are quote unquote external forces that govern or that can influence one's actions without them knowing or with them knowing. This is why awareness of self and having the ability to empty your mind of itself is essential when it comes to this so-called spiritual path. Because if you don't have this ability, if you're just solely, just totally attached to your ego personality, you will easily be swayed in any direction by any being, regardless if it's a human or a non-human being. you know. So this is the whole point I was, pretty much alluding to. Like there are beings that exist throughout every level of existence, not just here in this physical plane where you can see and touch materially. Immaterially, that the same principle applies. There are various different forms of life that exist, and they feed off of certain things, and they don't feed off of the same things that we have that we feed off of here. The more immaterial beings, they feed off of actions, behaviors, beliefs, thought patterns. They themselves are thought patterns. Some of them. It's different levels, because in this existence there are dualities and polarities that exist to balance out the functionality of things. That's solely the purpose for duality. So it's the same as above, so below, as within, so without. So just as we mentioned before, in the material physical world, we have multifarious beings. Just like in the mental immaterial world, there are multifarious beings. But these beings feed off of emotions, thoughts, beliefs, behavioral patterns, just like I mentioned before, addictions especially. They are the ones that facilitate. And again, it's all multidimensional. So say someone has a addiction, right? They have an addiction. Now, this addiction is not only fueled by, the substance that is causing the biochemical alteration that's facilitating the addictive, principles, right? The addictive qualities that is developing in the individual. The substance is also affecting them on a neurological level, which is tied to the biochemical level. Then from that is the psychological dependency on the substance, such as the person, oh, I gotta go get my fix. I need to go get this drug or whatever it is that I need because my body is screaming for it. And the screaming of the cells and everything that's been affected by this substance is now ultimately affecting my mind. So therefore, my mind is tied and subjugated to it. It's subservient to this substance. But that's not the only factor, though. Those aren't the only factors. The immaterial factor is that there is an entity that is feeding those thoughts and impulses within the body to help facilitate the continuation of the addiction so that it may feed on the person taking part in the action of that addiction. So that pretty much is what I just wanted to clear up. You have to be keenly aware. And this kind of information is very sensitive because a lot of people become very weary and just helpless. Like, no, you're not helpless. Like, no entity or nothing for that matter has power over you. It can only influence you, just like a person can only influence you. You ultimately make the decision. Like, there is no being anywhere whatsoever that can just totally make you do some shit. Unless you fucking with some strong ass goddamn demons or some shit, which you shouldn't even be fucking with, and that shit just overtake your mind. But besides that shit, there's nothing that can really. Even then, like, there's still that part of you that's there that can't just be fucking thrown out the body. You know what I'm saying? If that was the case, you know, a lot of motherfuckers would just be totally possessed. I mean, a lot of people are possessed, don't get me wrong. Possessed by ideas, you know what I'm saying? Certain zeal from their ideals, fucking just beliefs and entities, you know what I'm saying? Like on every level that, you know what I'm saying? Like, remember, this life is multidimensional. These bodies are multidimensional, especially the mind. The brain mind is multidimensional. It's not one dimensional or unidimensional. This shit is infinite. You can't be restricted to only perceiving things one way, which is why they teach and, you know, condition us to see and think one way. Oh, that's only just matter. That's no spirit. Oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. Oh, there's no such thing as this. Oh, there's no such thing as that. How the motherfucker you know? You only been here for fucking 6,000. Let me stop. I'm not even gonna get into that shit. But yeah, you know, yeah, just trust in your, you know, awareness. Awareness is your ultimate guide. Attention is the sword you use to cut through any manipulative bullshit, regardless if it is coming from a human being or a non-physical being.